Hi, in this tutorial we're going to make smoke in 3ds Max, and that involves doing a few things. We're going to set up a particle system, we're going to make material that represents the smoke, and we're going to make the particle system be affected over time. So let's go for it. Okay, so once you've opened up this file, you see we've just got a very simple scene here with a spaceship sitting in the ground. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a particle system of smoke coming off that spaceship. So you need to first create the particle system. So if you go over to the Create tab, and where you got your drop down list here, go in there and select particle systems. Now in here you'll see the PF or particle force source. If you click that guy, like so, and in your top view drag out a icon, and you'll see how it goes like that. Drags it out like so, and once you've dragged it out, place it over kind of near the spaceship or around near the spaceship, something like that. I'll grab the move tool just to move it across there. Okay, with it still selected, the trouble with this thing, you can see the arrow, that's where the particle system is going to go. We want this to come up, so like smoke going up into the air. So we're going to change a few things. So go over to your modify panel, with it still selected, your modify panel, sorry, up here. Go to your modify panel and you'll see that we can change things a little bit here. So where it says icon type, change it to a circle. So you can see it's changed the icon to a circle. And where it says diameter, where it says 75, let's try and change that to 3. Now that might be quite small, but we'll just change it to 3. Let me just have a look. Okay. So the emitter bit of it is a small bit there. Okay, so we'll leave it like that for now. Alright, so the next thing we're going to change is the quantity multiplier, where it says down here, quantity multiplier viewport, we want to change that to 100%, so we see the whole thing as well while we're creating it. Okay, so I'm going to zoom up and just see this thing a bit visual in my perspective view. Now this is set for camera, so I'll just go into perspective view here, which could have been P on as a shortcut. And now that I can see where that emitter is, I'll just turn around. There it is. Fantastic. So I'll just grab it. I'm just going to shift it over there where I can see it. Okay, we've got a nice view here. So if you want to, you can just grab the time slider, and you can, if you look in the other windows, you'll see, and just drag that along, you can see particles coming out of it, but as I said, they're going downwards. So we need to change this. We need to move the thing around. So go to your angle snap up the top here. So your angle snap. So this guy here, just turn that guy on. Grab your rotational tool, which is E on your keyboard, or this tool just up here. And we're going to turn it around. And I can just do it in the perspective view actually, because I'm nice and close. I'm just going to grab it there and turn it around. It should snap to 180, which is exactly what I want, and you can see the arrows pointing upwards. So cool, we've done that. I'll just deactivate that for a second, and I'll check this guy, make sure it's coming up the right way. Fantastic. So now what we've got to do is a little bit of adjusting to our particles system. And to do that, we need to go into the particle view over here. So this guy here. So click on it and you'll see that we already have something going on in the center here. I'll just make it bigger so you can see the whole lot. So the excuse me, the particle view is the main interface for the particle flow system. Excuse me. So as you can see up here, we have what's already default, what we've already done, is sitting in the middle here, kind of like your work area. And down here is different things you can do. Okay, so if you look at the top bit here, you'll see that it says birth 001, and then it's got 0 to frame 30 T200. Okay, so I'm going to click on that guy, and you'll see over here on your right, this opens up over here. I'm just going to make that smaller so it all makes a bit more sense. So you can see that these this particles flow is happening, emitting is starting at 0, and it stops at frame 30. And if you go down to your time slider, you can see that actually happens at about frame 30. It stops. Okay, so we're going to adjust this a little bit. We're going to change things. First of all, we're going to make it, we're going to put in here minus 100, which means it's going to be starting to make particles before 0. And then we're going to put this to emit at 300. So 300 frames. Okay, so that means that we just need to, let's just see what's going on here with this. If I drag this slider, okay, so it's going all the time, but it's not exactly bellowing out, so we're going to change the amount from 200 to 2000. Just hit enter to make that happen. Let's just check that out now, see what's going on. Press play, and it's now coming out pretty cool. And it's sort of going to 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and it's looping over, which is great because I had it starting at minus 100. Okay. So it's going pretty fast. I'll just turn this off for a second. So we need to slow it down a bit more so it's a little bit more like smoke would be. So we're going to go into this stack. Basically, it's like the stack over here in your modifier stack, but I guess it goes the other way. And we're looking to go, and we're going to click on speed, basically, over here, and then parameters open up over here. Now it's saying 300 and variation of 0. We need to change that, and we're going to change it. We're going to try 6 for that guy, and variation of 1. Change that to 1. Okay. So let's just drag the time slider and see what happens. Okay, now that's looking a little bit better. Okay. Okay, so I'll just shut this off. It's looking pretty good, but we're going to change these little checks to something else so we can see it a bit better. So I'll just close this guy. So we're just going to change things so we can see this a little bit better. I'll just move him over there. I'll grab this guy and I'll just zoom out a bit. Something like that, just so we can see what's going on. Alright, so we're going to change these little ticks to something else. So to do that, we need to go to the display in our little event stack here, where it says display and it says ticks, and where it says type over there in your parameters, select geometry. Now we can also change the actual geometry to a different color if you want to by just clicking on this swatch, and I'm going to change him to a blue, like so. Okay, and now we've got all this mass happening here, but we need to go and change the size of those cubes that are in there. So if we go into our event here, into shapes, and where it says 10, let's change that. You can use a dial if you like, but I'm going to just sit in there and put, say, 0.2, which is sort of like a fifth of that size. Hit enter, let's see what happens, and that looks better to me. I'll just come in here to get a good look at him and just run this guy and just see what's going on. Okay, so now we need to put a bit more effects onto that, because it's not quite right there yet. So now we're going to add some force, some wind force to this guy to make this smoke, because right now this is just representing how our particle flow is going, but to make the smoke actually look a bit more real. So to do that, and I'm just going to minimize this guy down there. To do that, we need to go into our Create tab, and into our Create tab, and go along to Forces, and you'll see a thing called Wind over here. So you can click on that guy, and in your top view, we're just going to stick it over here somewhere. I'm just going to change the default shading to wireframe, so we can see the wireframe, and I'm going to zoom in here, and just over somewhere over here I'm going to stick this guy, this wind. So just drag out the icon, you'll see it's kind of like a pyramid sort of icon. So just drag him out there. Is he appearing in our other guy over there? I'm not sure, so I'll drag it out, and I'm just going to get my move tool, and I want to move him into space so I can see him. So I'm actually going to put him over here. Just there somewhere, being a bit silly. Okay, cool. So with that one selected, let's just call this updraft. So that's updraft wind. So let's get another guy. Where are we here? We're just over there. So that's for updraft. Let's make another wind force, and let's call this one side wind. And I'm just going to stick it over here so I can see it as well, just there. And we can move this around later on. So once you've created it, let's go in and call that guy side wind. Okay. So while we've got the wind there selected, the side wind, let's rotate it to face towards our particle system, so it'll affect it. So if you grab your rotate tool, which is E on your keyboard, and use an angle snap, is probably a good idea too, which is already on. I'm just going to snap it over so it is over 190 degrees over that way. Okay, and if I have a look through here, I'm just going to move him something like that, just so I know he's pointing towards that guy. So now we're going to actually add the forces to our particle view here. And to do that, what we do is we go down here in our kind of library here and look for force, which is this guy, and click and drag that force and drop it in your stack event here, just above shape, like in so. Alright, so now we've got the force in here, so we need to actually link it to the two wind forces that we had. So let's select force, and here it's selected, and over here to the right, I'll make it smaller again so this makes more sense to people. So I've selected force, which I've dragged from down here into between above shape, and I'll go over here and select by list, and it should have the two forces that we've got in there. So select one, control select the other, so they're both selected like so. Minimize that again. I'm just going to grab this view here and see what's going on. It looks like something's changed. And just hit play. Okay. So there it is. It seems a fairly strong force there, and we need to adjust it again, but you can see the wind is quite strong. Okay, so that's just going too full on. That wind's too high. So I've got this selected right now, the side wind. So if you go into your modify panel of the side wind, we'll change a few of the settings here because it's just way too high. It's on 1, so I think we need to change this to 0. 0.01. And decay, let's just change that to, we want it to sort of go, so we'll go 0.25. So wind turbulence, change that to 0.01. And that's frequency, let's change that to 3. You can change these around if you like, but I think they kind of work out. And scale to 0.1. So that's that guy. So that's that wind. So I'll select the other one, which is... is there 3 in there? No, it's this guy, isn't it? No, there it is. This guy, that's the updraft one. And let's change the updraft to settings, the strength. Let's just make the strength basically nothing. No, I'm sorry. We need to make some strength there. We'll just leave it 0. The strength and the decay at 0. The turbulence, let's change the turbulence to 0.005. So there's a little bit of turbulence there. Frequency to, yeah, look, it's starting to change here. 6.8. And the scale, we'll change that to 0.2. And let's just see how that works out. Just play down here. Okay, now we're talking. I'll just have a better look here, see how that's going. Fantastic. All right. So, next, what we've got to do is just turn off this guy. And we need to actually go to the next step, which is to set up particle geometry that changes over time. So, like the smoke disperses, and we'll have fewer particles. So that'll be in the next bit of this tube.